Hello, welcome to Innocence Movie Reviews. I've got another lovely vampire movie for you. It's called Blood and Donuts.
So, where are you from?
It's a long story.
You know, I got all night.
You need all night.
Oh, I got all night.
There's a place between the living and the dead. And it's open 24 hours. Blood and Donuts.
So this movie is by director Holly Dale, who is Canadian, and it's kind of like a hidden gem out there. You're not going to be able to go to a video store and watch it. I take it back. You can go locally in the Seattle area to Scarecrow Video and you can watch it there. Or you can go on YouTube or use Shudder, which is a streaming service for only horror movies and the very scariest. I recommend it. It's worth the wait. Blood and Donuts came out in 1995. It was a small independent vampire movie, as I said before, out of Canada. The main character, Boya, is played by an actor named Gordon Curry, who's really only known for movies like the Left Behind series. The character of Earl, who is a taxi driver in this movie, who drives your main character, Boya, around, and a lot of the other smaller characters, is Louis Ferreira, and he is an amazing actor who has a very, very long list of credits to his name. Louis Ferreira is known for movies such as Dawn of the Dead, 2004 remake, and he was also in the Stargate universe. I shouldn't laugh. That was a pretty good show. It's kind of like comfort food. You know, you watch it, there's nothing else on. It's not terrible. It's not the news, which is terrible. So he's actually got a really long IMDb credit, and he has a ton of movies under his belt and TV shows. You should go and check out some of his other work, because in this movie you're just like, what is going on? He's a really interesting character. He's a really interesting character. I can't really place what he's doing, because he's got this accent and you can't really figure out what it is, because it changes from scene to scene, but it works with this character. Molly is the main female protagonist of this movie, and she works at an all-night donut shop. She's putting herself through college. She's learning things like auto mechanics and engineering and foreign languages and everything. She's kind of like doing a little bit of everything, and she's always reading. She's a great protagonist. She's interesting. She's tough, because women have to be tough in the 90s. The 90s were a hard time. It was also the grunge era, so we kind of had to be tough because it was also part of the popular culture at the time. And her character really portrays that. The other character is Rita, who is played by Fiona Reed, who is famous for My Big Fat Greek Wedding. And you have a smaller character, just known as the crime boss, who is David Cronenberg. I'm not even kidding. David Cronenberg, it doesn't direct this movie, he doesn't write this movie, he's not producing this movie. He's just in it as a crime boss. He doesn't even have a name. They just call him Boss the whole time. And he's credited as crime boss. There's not even anything that in the movie that's like, you know, namesake Cronenbergian. You know what I mean? Rick and Morty fans looking at you. You're a real Cronenberg. Anyway, he gives this fantastic character portrayal of a mixed New York, Italian, American, Western style mob boss. It's very mixed up and weird and very indie film. Just seriously, give it a chance. So, the plot of the movie. What's the plot of the movie? Everything has been done in the vampire world. Blood and Donuts takes place when a golf ball enters through a window and wakes up Boya, who is our main character. You find out through the opening sequences and through character interactions that when man set foot on the moon, Boya considered the moon ruined because man had touched it. I'm not going near that. But we do tend to ruin everything we touch. But he considered it ruined, so he went to sleep for like 30 years. And his girlfriend Rita was left hanging in the wind. So he wakes up, and the first thing he does is he goes back to the hotel that he knew. And the hotel is now next to a donut shop, which you find out used to be a bar that he would go to. So he wakes up, he gets oriented to the environment, goes to a graveyard, digs up his belongings, meets the taxi driver on the way there. Rita goes to the graveyard. Everybody in this movie is just a goth kid going to the graveyard in the middle of the night. And so he winds up there, and these mob guys kind of shake him down, and he gets in some trouble, and Boya, who is a good guy and a vampire, defends him and winds up taking him in. So Earl and Molly wind up coming under the wing and the influence of this vampire, and Rita, who is working through a lot of emotions. I mean, she was abandoned by her boyfriend, who's also a vampire, and she knew he was a vampire, and nobody else knows he's a vampire. It's all complicated, and Rita's angry. You actually don't really blame her for being so angry. Everybody's really relatable, except for the crime boss. Screw that guy. Screw you, David Cronenberg. You're too good. Very believable. So, Boya's trying to figure out whether or not he's going to stay and what he's going to do, and working through his relationships. And then there's some freaking awesome fights. There are some great fight scenes with David Cronenberg. So everybody's working through their emotional issues. Okay? Molly feels attracted to this weird guy who may or may not still be covered in graveyard dirt. She doesn't know. She's trying to sell donuts. She's trying to keep people from fighting in the middle of the donut shop. And then there's this like tough guy dude who actually owns the donut shop, who's actually really cool, but he's only in a couple scenes. And he doles out wisdom like, when you make a quince donut, you don't call it quince. Nobody knows what quince is. You dye it red, and then you call it a passion donut. And then everybody wants it, because everybody wants passion. It's brilliant. It's beautiful. It's poignant. And it's actually kind of a non sequitur, which makes it even better within the frame of the movie. And Boya has to decide what he's going to do with his life, and is contemplating what his real effect is on the human world, while your characters are also trying to figure out and reconcile their relationship with a man that they now know may or may not actually be a magical vampire. Not sparkling. No sparkles in this movie. I do not approve of sparkling vampires, and it's not just Twilight. I'm looking at you, True Blood. You did it first. I know that. Anywho, no, these are smoking vampires. When they get out into the sunlight, so classic style. This movie has this beautiful 90s aesthetic to it. It's very run down in the neighborhood. The sets are basically like 4 different locations. There's a graveyard, there's a bowling alley, there's a donut shop, and there is a hotel. There's also Rita's salon, but that's only in about 30 seconds worth of the movie, so it's not like really like a full set. So this is an action movie, but it's a 90s style independent action movie. So there is more exposition and more talking and more character building than there is fighting and action scenes. But when you do get the fighting and action scenes, they are amazingly well choreographed. They look great. There aren't like high budget special effects in this. There's no like huge explosions. But you should go and watch Blood and Donuts. It's weird. It's wacky. It's got an amazing cast. And they didn't do a whole lot of big roles after this, except for David Cronenberg. I'm looking at you. But seriously, if you're a Rick and Morty fan, if you're a David Cronenberg fan, you need to go see this. Just for him. But also because Louis Ferreira is in it. And like I said, he does this weird accent. Sometimes I wonder if the guy from The Room watched Blood and Donuts on repeat to try to figure out how to do this character, and it was just so confused by it, he came up with whatever. Yeah. Pop culture conspiracy theory right there. When you watch it, you'll understand. Blood and Donuts. Remember, you can go on Verve, if you're a Verve member, VRV, and go into your Shudder account, and it is in there right now. I actually watched it just a couple weeks ago again. Otherwise, if you don't have an account, which you should, try YouTube. I did once or twice or maybe multiple times, watched it illegally on YouTube because it is out of print. If you're local in Seattle, Scarecrow Video does have it, but I believe it's only on VHS. And Netflix used to have it as part of their DVD service. So check with Scarecrow Video because they definitely had it last I checked. Where do I put this on the Fang? On the Fang scale? Well, it's like halfway between Lestat and like Nosferatu. Yeah. They're kind of awkward looking fangs. I like it. I like them. And they kind of have this Buffy-esque mask that they put on the vampire when he gets all like, twitchy vampire. I'm a twitchy vampire. And then my face changes and then everybody's like, did I just see that? Oh my god. You know what I'm talking about. You know. Vampire people. I'm delightfully awkward, just like the vampire when he changes. But my face doesn't change. Why doesn't it ever work for me?